This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is January 23rd, 2023. Jonathan Osborne. Here I am joined by a very special guest, producer Kevin, for an emergency pod. Kevin Tucker.
Sound the alarm. Emergency pod time. What's up, Jonathan? Pumped to be here.
Oh, my goodness. Kevin, usually a pod, when we record like an emergency pod, I didn't say tomorrow's date for a reason. We're getting this up tonight.
That's right.
Monday night, Jonathan Isaac is back. We had no idea what to expect, Kevin, but he looked almost as good as ever.
Here's the thing. Go through the checklist of what we wanted from tonight. We wanted Jonathan to come back to a nice applause and a nice moment. He got all that, whatever. That's great. Check. We wanted Jonathan to come back and not get hurt. Check. We wanted to come back and look like he could hang on a basketball floor. Check. And we wanted to get a win. Check. And then everything beyond that was just above and beyond. Like the fact that he played great, put together for 9 minutes and 36 seconds a great stat line, looked great, looked comfortable, and this is day one. This is game one. He can only go up from here. And I want to reiterate, the Magic also won. Beat the Boston Celtics, best team in the league, for the third time this season. Eddie, where you at, bro? Huh?
Oh, Eddie.
Let's go.
My gosh. Yeah. So Eddie House was talking more trash a couple of nights ago, the post-game, broadcast for the Boston Celtics, saying, oh, he's going to be in Orlando, blah, blah, blah. They can't lose. They got to get this win. He was sitting courtside, got to witness this massive L for the Boston Celtics. The Magic have now won the season series against the Boston Celtics tonight with a 113-98 15-point win at home over the Boston Celtics. But we just want to talk about Jonathan Isaac. I'm sure we'll point out other things about this game, but we really just want to talk about Jonathan Isaac. So he checks in at the 7-minute mark of this game. The Magic were up 13-8. The 6:43 mark, and then he checked out at the 2:36. So played just about 4 minutes in the first quarter. Misses his first, the first layup. Then gets another look a couple of possessions later. The turnaround, I believe it was over Jaylen Brown.
It was, yeah.
Nothing but net. And you're like, okay, this is good. He's moving well. Had a couple of scares. Him on the floor with a fall. He fell on top of Wendell Carter Jr. He fell in the corner, I think, in the second half. Then he had a Euro step in the second half.
That's the one that scared me because I just got instant flashbacks to Washington, D.C. And also, Sacramento too. And so, both of those, scary.
Man. And then the second half, he hits a corner three from the left corner. A few minutes later, hits a wide open corner three from the right corner, is playing Jaylen Brown, bringing the ball up. All-star Jaylen Brown, by the way, not known to have the tightest handle in the world, but an all-star nonetheless. Picks his pocket it was vintage Jonathan Isaac. Picks his pocket, drives down the floor, the pocket pass to Paolo Banchero for the dunk. Boston calls a timeout. They feel the momentum is swinging Orlando's way. That sequence in the second half went a long way in giving the Magic a little bit of a cushion to win this game.
And that's what makes this so much more exciting and significant, is because these moments, this 9 minutes and 36 seconds that Jonathan Isaac played, these weren't in some garbage time or something. This was in a significant game, a close game against the best team in basketball, and they contributed to a win. That's why I'm so fired up. Because, Jonathan Isaac could have done this when we were down 25 against whoever, fill in the blank, and it would have been like, okay, great, Jonathan's back. That's awesome. But he contributed to a win against the best team in basketball and a win over Eddie House. Like I'm just pumped. I'm fired up. This was a big win for this team. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, we're still fighting for that play-in spot. But to see Jonathan do what he did tonight, and again, you said vintage. That was him, and not just the 2 steals on the stat line. Also, like there were several defensive possessions where he made his presence felt. A couple of defensive possessions where other teammates got steals because of how Jonathan Isaac was playing in the area he was covering. The rebounding, I know he only had 3 rebounds, but all 3 of them were significant rebounds. Like big men, go get the ball. We've been really hurting in the rebounding category of late. So to see him do that, it's crazy. It checked all the boxes. I could not be happier.
I've got to tell you, Kevin, I feel vindicated. Not to say like, oh, we knew Jonathan Isaac was going to come back and do this, but we never gave up on Jonathan Isaac. I know we're speaking for a lot of people here. I'd say probably the majority did not give up on Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah.
There was definitely a contention of Magic fans who thought it was over. He would never play again, was not going to see the floor. And let's just be perfectly honest. There are extracurricular reasons for that. It wasn't just medical reasons that they thought Jonathan Isaac wasn't going to play. They feel a certain way about his beliefs, what some people perceive to be like a political statement. I don't want to rehash all of that. But to sit here, and it just seemed like every time we got bad news after bad news after bad news about Jonathan Isaac, you, me, Luke, to sit here and say, folks, like, it doesn't mean it's over. It's pushed back further and further and further every time. It doesn't mean that it's over. If there is anyone that has the mental fortitude to come back from something like this, it is this kid.
Yeah, and for me, I think we also need to remind ourselves that he has said multiple times, sometimes kind of in passing, that he wishes he was already back. Even going back to last season, he talked about being back, if he could help it or if it was up to him or something like that. And so we also have to remember that a lot of this time period wasn't decided by him. Of course, it was decided by the front office and the medical staff and all that. But I will say, anyone that doubted, anyone that thought that he, not just because of injuries, but also because of all the other extracurricular stuff, thought that he wasn't coming back to basketball, he was going to do these other things, the book or whatever. Just listen to him in the interviews, even before he started playing today. Listen to the last couple months when he's talked in these interviews. All he talked about was getting back on the floor to play the game that he loves, to play with his teammates. That's all he cared about. And you could see how much it meant for him tonight to be out there, be on the floor, playing the sport he loves. And he even said it, as on the walk-off interview with Dante, contributing to a win. Like being a part of a win is just so huge. Again, I can't state it enough. Like tonight was huge. I also want to temper our expectations a little bit. Like this was great. Don't get me wrong, but he is still coming back from a 900-day absence. So Wednesday night, after all the adrenaline settles down, he might go out there and lay an egg. That doesn't mean he's trash. Okay. It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride, as it is with any player that comes back from an injury. But I can imagine the 900-day injury. There's going to be some of that. Okay, so we just got to be pumped for tonight and just have those expectations of he's coming back. It's going to be a little bit of a ride, but we've seen what is possible. We've seen what is possible, and we know that. Give it a couple weeks, maybe a month. I really hope he's back to full strength, full participation, maybe even full minutes in games, and then we'll see what can happen after that.
And to your point about him contributing to the win, he wasn't tagging along.
Right.
He wasn't just one of the boys along for the ride tonight.
Yeah.
He was contributing, making key plays in that second half that helped the Magic win this game. And Kevin, one of the most, I wouldn't say shocking, but you and I just started recording this as the Bally broadcast was ending. One of the last things they showed was Jonathan Isaac's post-game availability. And I don't know who it was that asked the question, but it was a fantastic question. They asked him if he ever doubted that if he would get back to this point. And he said, yeah, I absolutely did. As you're going through an injury like this, that's just kind of part of the process. And especially when you have setbacks, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. But having his church family, he talked about his wife encouraging him and pouring encouragement into him, just kept him going. So like as mentally strong as he is, like This is not something that one person can go through alone. And Jonathan Isaac would be the first person to tell you that, right?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like we've talked about it a little bit, just the idea of something that you love being taken away from you for one reason or another, but then for it to take more than 2 years for you to be able to get back to that. How many of us would have just said, you know what? I got my, especially someone who made the money that he did. I got my money. I'm set for life. I'll talk about the sport. I'll go to TV. I'll do whatever, but this isn't worth it. But he decided this would be worth it. He decided this was the path that he's been put on. These are the obstacles that were put in his place or in his way. And he's decided he's going to overcome them. And that's exactly what he's done. He's back. He's earned it. He's earned our respect. And what a great start to the return for Jonathan Isaac.
Kevin, I'm happy that you were, mature and wise enough to, let's say, temper the expectations, right? Let's throw that out of the window for a minute, okay? Let's throw that out of the window.
Let's go.
If the Jonathan Isaac is back, we saw this with Markelle Fultz. Like, yes, he came back, was a little bit rusty. And look, I, as much as anyone on this planet, has questioned the medical staff at times. Kevin will be the first person to disagree with me and attest to that,
that's
okay?
Facts, yeah.
Give this medical staff their mother freaking flowers right now. Markelle Fultz came back, looked like he didn't miss a beat. Jonathan Isaac, it took a millennium for him to come back. Doesn't look like he's missed a beat. So I apologize. Orlando Magic medical staff, whatever you're doing, it seems to be working, especially for these two young men, all right? But let's talk about if this is Depoy Jonathan Isaac, who, if I cannot tell you, I had flashbacks to Kristaps Porzingis when he stole that ball from Jaylen Brown and is running the other way with it, Kevin, and dumped it off to Paolo Banchero. My mind went a million different places, and I'll be lying if I told you that for a split second I had to talk myself out of us winning the title this year.
Yep, this is it.
What does it mean for this Magic team if that guy is back?
We got to think about it. Even if you just take tonight, his debut, 9 minutes and 36 seconds or whatever it was, 46 seconds. He had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals in 9 minutes. Even if you double that, say he plays 20 minutes.
57% from the floor, by the way.
Yeah, say he plays 20 minutes. That's 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals. I mean, that's 20 minutes.
Pretty crazy.
Put him up to 30 minutes.
Not probable, not likely.
No, of course not. Of course not. But to say, again, this is what he did his first NBA game in 904 days. This is what he did. That's insane to do. I know it's a short sample size, but for anyone to take 904 days off of anything and come back and do what he did tonight, it makes you wonder what the ceiling is for this guy. The ceiling might be the floor, to quote Michael Jordan.
The ceiling is the roof.
Oh, dang it, I blew it. The ceiling is the roof. Unbelievable. Oh, man, that's a disappointment. But anyway, so that's what's crazy to me. Like, I don't want to get too carried away. Like I said, I do want to temper my expectations, but picturing him with Franz, with Paolo, with Markelle, with Wendell, with Bull when he's thrown out there. Like, take your pick. Jalen Suggs, those two locking it down. It's as good as like everyone hoped it would be. After one night, it looks like it's possible, which is wild.
I feel very vindicated for a number of reasons. I know I said this a couple of minutes ago. The fact that we never gave up on Jonathan Isaac, never in my wildest dreams does he come back and look this good tonight. Jonathan Isaac touched on it in the post-game conference tonight. This team has not scratched the surface of how good they can be. Once Jonathan Isaac is back and acclimated, once people are used to the way that he plays and where he needs the ball, Paolo Banchero is going to continue to get better. Franz Wagner is going to continue to get better. Add that Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter Jr., Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, who was phenomenal. We talked crap about him last night, said he hasn't been consistent. Came out and played his butt off tonight. Give credit where credit is due. We were not wrong in our preseason evaluation of this team. We talked about we hoped that Jonathan Isaac would be back for training camp. We didn't think Markelle Fultz was going to break his toe. We didn't think Gary Harris was going to hurt his knee. We didn't think Cole Anthony was going to tear his oblique. Wendell Carter with the plantar fascia. Jalen Suggs with the ankle multiple times. Chuma Okeke with the knee. Like, we did not see all of these injuries coming. And now, all we've been asking for all season is let's see this team healthy. They've slowly been getting healthy over the last couple of weeks. And over the last 20 games, I'm pretty sure we're close to 50-50, 500 basketball.
Yep.
So before the season, we're like, the Magic are going to have to win around 40 games if they want to make the play-in. 500 would be 41-41. The Magic are now, what is it, 18 and 27? 18 and 29. Excuse me. They're 4 games now away from their win total of all of last season. That 26.5 over bet cashing. Paolo Banchero, Rookie of the Year, cashing, by the way. It feels pretty freaking good, man. I've got to say. Super excited. It feels like it's going to take a couple of weeks for everybody to really settle in. I think we're going to see some mixed results over the course of the next couple of weeks. This team had a pretty solid showing after the All-Star break this year. I can't wait to see what this team looks like after the All-Star break this year.
Yeah, and I know you guys are going to talk about it on the normal episodes, but I mean, the schedule starts to become a little more favorable here in the near future. I mean, there's a chance that we're getting healthy at the exact right time. You guys already talked about it on Monday's episode. The fact that this game on Wednesday against the Pacers, they're on a back-to-back. They're also really struggling. Like, they're one of the coldest teams in the league right now. They're falling apart after their really hot start. You got to ride the momentum from tonight and win that game. Then you got the back-to-back this weekend, Miami, Chicago. That's tough. Yeah, the Indiana game's a must-win. The back-to-back Miami, Chicago's tough. Then the Philly, couple games against Philly. But then that's when you get 3 potentially winnable games in a row. Minnesota, Charlotte, and the Knicks. A couple more tough games. But then after that, once you get in February, early March, there's some winnable games. And there's a chance that we're getting healthy at the right time. Because also, let's think about it. Tonight was technically not a winnable game. I know the Celtics were hurt, but they still had the 2 J's. And those guys can beat anyone by themselves. But you found a way tonight to win, in part thanks to Jonathan Isaac. But all I have to say, you're still only 4 games out of the play-in. Looks like Chicago's going to win tonight, so it'll be 4.5 games. But it's still there for you. It's still there for you. There's a lot of basketball to be played, and hopefully we're getting healthy at exactly the right time to make some noise.
So I want to go back, 4 seasons ago, Kevin. Right around this time, 4 seasons ago, is when the Magic started to get hot.
Yep.
They were 20-31 on the season, finished 22-9. I cannot think of a real logical reason why this team cannot be better than that 2018-2019 team. Now, they had a lot of home games those last 31 games. They had some favorable stretches in the schedule. But, like, if I'm playing a 7-game series, this healthy 2020-2023 team versus the 18-19 team in a 7-game series, I'm taking this team. Why not us? Why not now?
I like that phrase. Let's roll with that.
Why can't this team, the rest of the way, play better than 500 basketball? You don't even have to make the play-in. Get me to the last 2 weeks of the season and tell me everything has to go your way, but it's possible. Get me to the last 2 weeks of the season, give the Magic a chance to make the play-in, and this will be an overwhelming success of a season.
100%.
At that point, Jamal Mosley should be in contention for Coach of the Year for managing all of the crap that he would. Now, listen, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, like astronomically far ahead of ourselves here. Like, crazy ahead of ourselves. But we're over-exaggerating tonight. That is the point of an emergency podcast.
That's right.
If that all happens, like, this is just an overwhelming smash of a home run of a successful season. It's not something that 12 hours ago I thought might have been possible.
And here's the thing. Also, credit to Mosley for this. In spite of it all, even at 5-20, the guys in this locker room believed everything you just said. They've never lacked belief that this team could be everything you just said. Not in the future, not 2 years, 5 years from now, this year. They felt it.
I'm freaking fired up. Let's go.
They felt it. They believed it. They know it in their hearts. And so that's why, not just for us as fans, but for them tonight, 10 minutes of JI, they get a win against the Celtics again. That's got to just fuel that belief. But it's also got to fuel their accountability in some ways to not lay eggs like they did, Saturday night in Washington. Let's not forget, that's the last game the Magic played before tonight. They let the Wizards score 138 and lost by 20 in Washington. That was 48 hours ago. So I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. But I'll also say, if Jonathan Isaac plays in that game, the Wizards don't score 138. I don't care what anybody says. So all that to say, we are getting ahead of ourselves. But this team believes, I think this fan base, most of the fan base still believes that something is possible this year. Let's make a run, and I'm with you. Let's make the last 2 weeks really exciting. I don't know how it's going to end, but let's make it interesting and just see what, you never know. You just never know.
I'm opening my heart open, like up to a heartbreak the last couple of weeks of the season, and I will never be so happy to have had my heart broken.
Okay, we'll remember
this team. I'll 100% be depressed. I'll make some jokes in our group chat that you'll be like, Jonathan, come on, man, like you can't make jokes about that kind of stuff. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Jonathan Isaac is back. He looked fantastic. The shot of adrenaline and hope that I didn't know was possible. And we don't do this a ton on this podcast, but when the opportunity presents itself, I do feel obligated. If you listen to Jonathan Isaac talk about his faith in Christ and what he believes in, if you are amazed at the resolve of this kid and just how tough he is and everything that he's been through, he would be the first person to tell you that it would not be possible without his relationship in Christ. I believe that. I know Luke believes that. I know Kevin believes that. So if any part of you is wondering about that or curious about that, just give it a shot. You never know what can happen.
100%.
But the Magic, man, the freaking Magic. Every time I think I'm done, they pull me back in. And this, I just did not expect tonight to go this well. Never in a million years.
Here's what I know, Jonathan. Here's what I do expect to go well. I expect people's Tuesdays to go well. You want to know why? Because they can get 50% off of their Papa John's with code MAGICWIN after a Magic victory tonight. Let's go, baby. Eat that victory pizza tomorrow, folks.
Let's freaking do it. All right, folks. This was an emergency pod. I think that is going to do it for us. I hope we hyped you guys up a little bit. I hope you can't sleep tonight. I don't think I'll be able to sleep tonight. I'm going to rewatch this game. Like right now, I'm going to go and rewatch this game. It was that much fun. But for producer Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. Me and Luke will be back in a couple of days talking about this game again, getting Luke's reaction. Jonathan Isaac is back. All of a sudden, you're in Luke's podcast that you're going to record this weekend is going to be a lot more enjoyable for everyone, I think.
Let's go.
And I got a really good freaking chance of beating Luke this week in our predictions, starting off the week right. So I'm going to say this again. For producer Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The Sixth Man Show. Jonathan Isaac is back, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic! Right.